Sadiq Khan is the winner in the race for London mayor, and he is the son of Pakistani immigrants. He is the first Muslim mayor of a major European capital within the European Union, and he won handily. The election results are 56.8% for Sadiq Khan and 43.2% for Zach Goldsmith. So over a 13-point margin. That is a walloping. Now, here is a slight problem. Since he is Muslim, if Donald Trump wins, he might not be allowed into the country. Literally, might not be allowed into the United States of America. Amazing, isn't it? And he points this out. He says, if Donald Trump becomes the president, I'll be stopped from going there by virtue of my faith, which means I can't engage with American mayors and swap ideas. He also adds, this isn't just about me. It's about my friends, my family, and everyone who comes from a background similar to mine anywhere in the world. Now, Donald Trump misses this entirely and says, when challenged, hey, how about Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, right? He says, well, there will always be exceptions. I think you missed the point. He's like, I don't want to be the exception. You're affecting my family, my friends, 1.6 billion Muslims across the world. But you have to understand something. It's not like Donald Trump is going to stick with any of his positions from the Republican primary. On the issue of minimum wage, for example, he had said just a day ago, quote, sure, it's a change, referring to his position that now he wants higher minimum wage. Sure, it's a change. I'm allowed to change. So on this issue, a core issue that he ran on the Republican primary, banning Muslims, are you going to stick with that issue? I don't know. Here's what he says about Sadiq Khan. I was happy to see that he won. I think it's a very good thing. And I hope he does a very good job because, frankly, that would be very, very good. That would be very, very good. Okay, great. He doesn't mean a word of what he says, including the hateful stuff, I guess, if you're being kind to him, right? So he's like, am I going to let Sadiq Khan in the country? Of course I am. He's like, oh, athletes. Yeah, I guess I'd let Muslim athletes too. Do you think Donald Trump's going to ban rich Muslims from coming into the country? I don't think so, right? So he's like, look, I'm just being bigoted to win votes. Oh, how magnanimous of you. And he's already beginning to shift that position. Was that good enough for Sadiq Khan? Not by a long shot. Here's his response.
Donald Trump has ignorant views about Islam. It's not just about me. I don't want to be the exception to be allowed to go to America. Donald Trump has said, should he be elected the President of the United States of America, he would ban Muslims from attending America. That means if you are somebody who wants to go there on holiday, wants to go to Disneyland, you're a business person who wants to go and do business there. If you're somebody who wants to be a student in America, because you are a Muslim, you could be stopped from going there. So whilst it may be great, he's made an exception for me. It's not about me. It's about my friends, family, and others from all around the world who want to go to America. And my concern is he's playing into the hands of extremists who say it's not compatible to be Western and to be a mainstream Muslim. I think London showed last Thursday it is.
What do you make of Donald Trump?
Well, Donald Trump may well be the Republican candidate. You won't be surprised that I'll be backing the Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton, who I suspect will be, and I hope that she trounces him.
Well, that's certainly clear. He's a progressive over in the UK, and he's not having any of Donald Trump's excuses. And of course, it goes to show what a horrific and silly proposal it was in the first place to try to ban all Muslims in the world from coming to the United States. But Trump always knew it was unworkable. He was just trying to trick the idiot Republican voters into voting for him, full well knowing that he wasn't really going to do it anyway. He'll do some of it, but just against the powerless. But against the powerful, are you kidding me? Donald Trump loves the rich and powerful. They're always welcome in America.